My name is Owolabi Misturah Abisola. I am 27 years old. I am a creative writer. I work in marketing and communications. I'm a copywriter, a creative strategist, content writer. I also run a modeling agency and I style people by the side as well. 8 years ago, that was in April 2016, and it's been a very interesting journey. I was diagnosed when I was 19, and at the time, that was the first time I was hearing about the illness. So it was a shocker to me. I was a 300 level student who was planning towards our final exams, right? And I just got diagnosed, and I had to stay away from school for a while. And when it comes to diagnosis, it wasn't like a straightforward journey. And even though sometimes I'm thankful that it only took a couple of months because it usually takes longer, but those months were like a very, very, very hectic time for me. I remember how we started, like, with me waking up in the morning and my eyes were swollen, and there was really no explanation for that. And the first reaction to that was, oh, maybe I was reacting to something that I ate or something that I did. And over time, right, it happened like throughout a period of a week. And my parents were like, oh, take antibiotics for this. They took me to the hospital. They were treating me for allergic reactions rather. I would take the medications and then they wouldn't work, or it would go down for a few days, then come back again. And it just kept repeating itself. Then it now escalated to me having sores all over my body. I started coughing and I would see blood in my cough. I was getting so weak. I was losing weight. I mean, prior to that time, I was really skinny. I was losing even more weight. I couldn't eat. I found it hard to like stand on my own. My body was always aching me, serious pain. Even when I eat, I didn't used to taste like I felt like I lost my sense of taste, and there was all of that. We got to a point where we realized that going to hospitals back and forth wasn't going to work. So I had to open up to one of my friends, and her mom was a really senior nurse at the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. That's last in Ikeja, and then we went there, and it was an emergency because they actually admitted me on the spot. I was admitted into the emergency ward, and all types of treatments were administered. We were doing so many tests. My body was swollen at this point, my hands, my face. At some point, my two eyes were closed because it was so swollen that my eyelids covered themselves and I couldn't see. And we were doing tests to check if it was the kidney, if it was this, because it was just making a lot of different symptoms, sores on my body now, weakness, joint pain, blood in my urine, blood while coughing. I even had sores inside my throat, at the back of my feet. Different weird things were just happening. But luckily, after like a couple of weeks, they had to bring in the rheumatologist. Yeah, and then I was also having like things that felt like, oh, maybe my lungs were not working. I would be choking on my breath. And that's the thing with lupus. It imitates a lot of different illnesses. So as they are treating one symptom now, they are treating the other. So then the one that was really, really, when all of this was happening, right, I was still open-minded, like, oh, I'm sick, I'll be fine, or they'll soon get what's wrong with me, they'll give me treatment and I'll be okay. But the one that really got me worried was when one day I woke up in the hospital still, and my hair had fallen off the bed. I mean, I had hair done, I had like Didi braids, and by the time I woke up, it felt like my hair was tissue and it had already fallen off on the pillow. That was when I knew that, oh, this was getting serious. And then after that time, the doctors, like, it felt like that was one thing that the doctors were used to be able to determine what was wrong. So they brought in the rheumatologist and then they diagnosed lupus. And I can remember when they were telling me, oh, you have lupus. And I was like, okay, what's this about? And they were like, it's an autoimmune disease where your immune system is fighting your body. And it felt weird, like my immune system is fighting my body. But in biology, we're taught that immune system is supposed to protect your body. So why is this one fighting? Is it like a coup d'etat or like a civil war happening inside my body? And the doctors are like, yeah, almost something like that. So it's like your immune system, they are overactive, or they are either confused, they can't differentiate between LD cells and the infections or diseases they are supposed to protect you from. So they are attacking everything inside. And it just felt weird because it took me like a week to process it. Because I was just blank, so I felt so emotionless. My mom was already hysterical. She was crying. She was like, "What's this one again?" Because we had never heard about lupus before that time. So it just felt like what was happening to me, and I just started, looking back and thinking of what could I have possibly done. Was it something I ate somewhere? Was it something I did in school? Different things, or was it because I used to stress myself too much? And I was one of those students that I was chasing first class, so I was really hard on myself when it came to studying. I felt like, was it because I was stressing my body too much, staying up too late to read, or being too focused on just getting good grades, or something that I did to trigger my body. But then there was really no explanation because they had no reason and there was no cure. So it was when I heard that there was no cure, that was when it really dawned on me. And I was somebody that I hated medications before that time. Imagine being told that I had to start taking medications. And because I was newly diagnosed, my medications were a bit high because my test results were showing a lot of weird things. There was a lot of disease activity, so they had to increase my medication. So I was swallowing up to like 20 pills. There was a particular steroid, prednisolone. That's like the steroid that is used to suppress the immune system. So instead of boosting your immune system, they are suppressing your own if you have lupus because your immune system is already too active. So that was like one of the medications I was taking, and it was a lot. I was taking up to like 10 particular tabs of that prednisolone because they just needed to make sure that my body was well regulated. And the worst part was the side effects too started coming up because your body was getting used to some of these medications, so it was fighting back. There were a lot of side effects. My hair fell off completely, even to the point that my scalp was getting scarred, and the doctors were like, "Oh, I'm not even sure my hair might would grow back because we're seeing scars on it." All of the things that were happening, the joint pain was happening again because lupus was fighting my medications. My body was fighting the medications too. Everything was just like, it felt like a war going on, right? And then I started gaining weight. That was the interesting part because I was really sick, but I was looking like I was chopping up. So imagine now leaving the hospital with 25 kg, weight that you've gained, going back to school. People were wondering, but you said you were sick, and you're looking, you've chopped up, or you're now chubby, you look like a baby. Some people will even hold my cheeks and be like, you're so cute now. See your fluffy cheeks. What did you eat? I want to gain weight like you. And it was so hard to explain that no, this is not weight gain that is the type of weight gain that you should want. This is like a disease that actually caused me to gain weight. But that was like, it was losing my hair that was really the most triggering point for me because I usually hear that when people have cancer, your hair falls over. Waking up one day and your hair was already on the pillow. Almost like when you take tissue paper and you just pull it from the roll. That was how it felt, and that was when I just knew, oh wow, this is actually real. Like I'm sick for real, and I don't think there's something that can be done. And they were like, oh, you're going to take medication for the rest of your life. Selena Gomez, she also has it and she's doing well. And all of this was like, God, I don't even care about Selena Gomez. Like, why is this happening to me? And why am I having a disease that nobody knows about? Like, who did I offend? Right? And it was hard to not think that it could even be spiritual. But luckily, my doctors were very, very clear. They explained every bit of it. They were so accessible that I was able to call them and text them because I had a lot of doubts. Because every day you're waking up with a different symptom, your body is reacting, and you're like, what's happening again? I thought I was getting better. Why is my body stiff? Why are my joints swollen? I'm taking my meds. What's happening? And they'll tell you, oh, it's the side effect of this med. So take this thing to counter the side effect of that side effect. They felt like a cycle of, oh, I'm taking medications, but I also have to take medications that will counter the side effect of that medication. And then the medication that I'm taking to counter the side effect of that medication, I also have to take another medication to counter it. So it was a lot. It was really, really a lot for me at that point. But I'm grateful that I had doctors who were very, very nice. They were very, very clear. They were open and they were really accessible for me to get the help that I needed. So I'm really thankful for that. So I mean, from the research that I've seen online and the ones and some of the things that my doctors usually say, they because of the type of people that it affects, mostly women, and it also affects women of color, like black women more, Latino women. So why they think it might be genetic is the fact that maybe it's something in the genes of those type of women that is being passed down. And then they also said that there's I a higher chance of you developing lupus if there's a history of lupus in your family. Because I've met people from around the world who have lupus, and then someone got lupus, shortly after her mom died. So it was actually, that one was a direct, we can say that it was a direct genetical transmission, but they are not really sure because they really haven't found the source of that disease. But they, based on the kind of people that it affects and the fact that you are likely to develop lupus if you even have other autoimmune diseases, then so that's why they think it might actually be genetic. That was the first time ever that we were hearing about lupus. I mean, I don't know if maybe my great grandmother had it and then they never diagnosed or they thought it was something else. But to my understanding, I'm the first to like have it in my family. Okay, so one thing is Lagos is hard for everybody, but then when you now have a chronic illness that limits, how you perform, the kind of actions that you take, even the food that you eat, and how you are even able to go about your daily activities, it becomes really harder. And I think one of the challenges that I've faced would be like the fact that a lot of people do not even understand what you're going through. So you don't necessarily expect empathy. It's like everybody's treating you the same way, right? You could be on your way to the hospital trying to enter a bus and you look like you're about to faint and nobody's even looking at you because they don't really send you like that, right? There's that part of things because there's really no awareness, especially when you have a disease that doesn't really show on the face. You see somebody chubby, looking like they've chopped up, I don't know that it's medications that is pumping their body like that. So you don't expect people to see you and say, "Oh, let me help this person." No. And then how the best places where we can get healthcare, they're usually like the government-owned hospitals. So it can be a challenge actually assessing those things, even though that's where you get the best doctors. So when you have appointments, for example, you know that you have to get your appointment early, no matter how sick you are, so you get a chance of seeing your doctor early. And then there's really no yeah, there's traffic trying to handle that, and then even work, right? Because lupus is very expensive, and oftentimes as you grow older, for somebody like me that got diagnosed when I was a student, where my parents supported me for as long as before I started working. When I started working for myself, right, it became a bit more challenging because you're working because you need money to pay for your meds, but then you don't have, you cannot afford to work too hard, because if you work too hard, you might push your body into a flare, and then you still have to navigate going to work, coming back from work, and even trying to have a social life. But everything is fast tracked. I won't say that, oh, maybe Nigeria gives you a place favorite with people. You have to be ready to show up every day regardless of how you are feeling. And it's not all employers that actually understand. And it's also something that you cannot blame them for it, right? We live in a country where people are trying to make ends meet, and it's almost like if you slow down, you're on your own. So you have to learn to push yourself even when you're not feeling at your best. You have to be on top of your game always. And you have to know that, if you want to access healthcare or get a job, you have to still show up like everybody else. And that's challenging because, nobody understands what you're going through. So sometimes you have to just push all your symptoms aside and say, oh, no matter what I'm facing, and I won't let this stop me. So that has been like the major challenges that I faced in the fact that, oh, you still have to show up every day regardless of what you're going through. People do not know enough about this disease to care about it. And people will tell you, I'm even going through my own stuff, so why would I give you special treatment, when this country is dealing with everybody at the same time. So it's hard to actually cope when you don't have a really strong support system. I'm thankful for my family and my friends and people that care about me. They are always ready to show up for me, support me. I'm also thankful for my doctors. They make it easy, even though they have to attend to a lot of patients, right? They give priority care to lupus patients. They are accessible to us so that even if you cannot make it to the hospital, like doctors are speaking to you, they are checking up on you. Doctors in Lagos, and then they are able to even refer you to other doctors. Doctors in Lasut and Lutz, they are like the rheumatologists there. They're like a really, really great support system for lupus patients all over Nigeria. So we're grateful for that. And I'm also grateful for the support of family and friends. But just like I said, Lagos is hard for everybody generally. But when you have a medical condition that slows you down a bit, you have no choice but to really push yourself. But you have to try not to push yourself too much that you now fall into crisis or develop a flare, because you can't afford to slow down. Lagos is too fast paced for that. And if you need to achieve your goals, you have to keep doing times two of what a normal person would do, because you remember that a day can come where you will not even be able to get up. So it's like you have to overcompensate for it on days that you're feeling better. That's like the challenge, the fact that I have to overcompensate every day, because I'm not sure tomorrow I'll be able to make it to work. So today that I'm going to work, I need to give in my best so that they will remember that, oh, she's always giving her best when she's present. So on days that I cannot show up, they understand and they are more empathetic to how I'm feeling. I think one thing I've come to learn how to do is to listen to my body. Right, I listen to my body a lot, and I know when and how not to stress my body. So physically, when you have lupus, joint pains are like a constant part of your everyday. You have joint pains, like on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe 5 is a normal good day for you. Some days are up to like 9/10 in terms of the kind of pain that you're feeling. So what I've learned to do is I take a lot of rest. I've cut down on social life significantly. For somebody like me, I don't keep late nights. I don't do overnight parties, because I know that my body cannot accommodate that in any way. So listening to my body has played a really great part. When it comes to the mental part, to be honest, lupus is a very depressing situation, and I'm not going to pretend as if I've got it under control, because I haven't. There are so many days that I still stay up all night and cry, in the mornings, cry and just be like, oh God, why is this happening to me? But another thing is, me, I treat lupus as the illness that it is. So when I'm feeling a bit emotionally down, I speak to my doctors. So I'm currently seeing a psychiatrist in Luz as well, because lupus also has some neuropsychological complications that give you depression, anxiety, and things like that. So when I start to feel symptoms of things like that, I don't assume that, oh, it's just me being stressed. I feel like it's something related to lupus, and I treat it as such. So I speak to my doctors, and then they prescribe something that would help me. Or if they see that, oh, this is not really something caused by lupus, they prescribe other solutions. The physical part of things, I don't engage in very high impact activity. Like for example, when I'm planning an event, or I plan on going somewhere, I start resting like 2 days before, because I know that if I'm going to be out and I'm going to use my energy for a few hours, I have to start saving up like my battery before that day. And when I go out as well and I stress myself, I know I'm taking days off to rest, because I don't want to be caught up in a situation where I've used all my energy and then I'm now breaking down. So the physical part of things, you really cannot control how your body is going to what's going to happen to your body the next day. So what you can do is, before that physical breakdown happens, right, you need to start taking care of yourself. I also do not joke with my medication. I always tell every lupus patient that you cannot joke with your medications. They actually work. At first, the side effects might be a lot, but over time, your body gets used to them and they can support you. So, there are medications for joint pain, there are medications to suppress our immune system, right? I also watch what I eat, because they play a really significant role. We have a disease that forces our immune system to actively attack our body. So you don't want to take something that will be boosting your immune system, overly, because you already have an active immune system. So I watch what I eat when it comes to that. In terms of food, there's a lot of lifestyle changes that I've made. I won't be caught, going out and staying up all night and not getting enough sleep. I know that's going to affect me. So I know a lot of Lagos social nights, Lagos social events, I stay away from them because they don't support my health. I don't like loud music as well. It gives me headache, and from headache you can develop a flare. So things like that, I stay away. So I'm very conscious about what I do in terms of where I hang out, places I visit, even how I go there. Right? I know that if I'm going to be jumping bus or something like that, I need to start preparing myself to it. I'm not the type that will now start, you know, maybe just looking for buses that are just driving out. I go to the bus stop, enter buses that are comfortable for me, because I know my body cannot support me to be jumping buses and stuff like that. There's that. I also know that when it comes to the places that I eat, I cannot just enter a roadside restaurant and start eating, because it affects, I don't know whatever they've put inside the food, so it affects my health as well. And like I said, social nights, overnight events, concerts, overly loud places, you cannot catch me there at all. And then when it comes to the mental, sometimes I let it out, right? I cry a lot when I need to. But then when I see that it's becoming something that is recurring, I speak to my doctors, because lupus can be really funny. Some of our drugs or medications, they have side effects that causes you to be depressed. So you need to even let your doctors know when you're feeling some type of way that is not normal. Because even though it's okay to feel sad, because this is a lifelong disease that can cause anybody to feel depressed. But when it becomes recurrent, it's important to speak to doctors. So lifestyle changes, being open with my doctors, and even adopting, different behaviors or different things that I know will make my life better and ease how much I stress myself and prevent, all sorts of um should I say breakdown, or prevent my body from getting into survival mode, so I don't trigger a flare. So you know that we are really religious, or should I say spiritual, in this part of the world. And every time there's something that happens to you, people would assume and say, oh, my village people are after me, or village people are about to get me, or somebody I offended. So when you get diagnosed with lupus and the doctors start to tell you, oh, this disease is something that causes your immune system to affect you. In Yoruba, there's something for that. It's called AD. It is when somebody uses maybe spiritual forces to cause you to harm yourself. Because in that instance, right, your body is harming itself. So it's easy to think or to believe that that's spiritual attack, especially when you've never heard of that sickness or that illness before. And you start to think, oh, is it my family? Is it the people I insulted? Or people that are after my life and stuff like that? And because we are an overly religious country, you start to, you want to go spiritual. You want to go and meet your pastor, your alpha, to pray for you and say what's really happening here. Because you cannot even explain the symptoms. Today you are fine, today something is happening to you. Because how do you explain that somebody who is LD, who has always led a LD life, is now suddenly down with all kinds of diseases? So the misconception first is that lupus is not ordinary, it's not medical, it's spiritual. Because even in the way that this disease occurs, it doesn't sound, natural, if you are being honest. Especially when they now tell you, oh, they don't know what's causing it and there is no cure. So it feels like something that needs to be tackled spiritually. But that's a really bad misconception, because when you start to go the spiritual route, you neglect some of the things that you're supposed to be doing medically in terms of your treatment, medications, and even, the lifestyle changes you should be making. So instead of going to the hospital, some people now decide that they want to go local. You take herbs that have no prescription. You don't know what's in the ingredients. You don't even know what you're allergic to. And like I said earlier, because your immune system is overly active, you don't want to take something that would also make it more, boost it more. So imagine if you now have somebody prescribing herbs that would now give you things that would boost your immune system. That's almost like killing yourself. Because your body is already fighting itself. You now give it more power to do more damage. So and that's what people don't get. Especially when you go to all these Iyalagbos that don't even know what lupus is about. How do you think they want to treat it? And then there are people who believe that, oh, you need to have faith in God. You need to stop taking your medications, so that is when God will use his power to cure you. That's really weird, because you are endangering people's life. Personally, me, I believe that the fact that the medications you take work for you, that's enough miracle. So you going out to seek other forms of miracles is going to be detrimental to your health. Because you are telling me now that because I believe in God, I should stop taking medications that will help me. I mean, God, the miracle is also in the knowledge that God has given science to make medications that can even suppress this thing. So telling people that, oh, they should go spiritual, is your family that is doing you. Don't go to hospital. Some people even say when you take injections it will worsen it. So take herbs. They'll even give you different things. So many people, even family members that you don't know, they'll tell you, have you tried this? Have you tried that? But there's this misconception that nothing is natural. Oh, this thing is happening to you. It's your family member. Oh, it's from your father's side, mother's side. And that has led a lot of people to their deaths, because as the doctors are giving you medications to make you feel better, somebody is prescribing something that is counteracting against those medications. And so as they are taking one step forward, they are dragging you 1,000 steps backwards. And that has led to a lot of deaths. I'm not going to lie. I've had experiences where people have reached out to me. Even someone that was a Ghanaian, a guy, he reached out to me on Instagram. He told me that he has been diagnosed with lupus, and then he was just checking online and he saw my page, and that his family is taking him to Kenya so that they can speak to some traditionalists to cure him. I actually advised him not to, but because of family, the pressure, they took him there. 6 months later, he texted me and sent me pictures of what his body was. all the sores and the rashes that we develop when we get lupus, his own became like big injuries, and it felt like cold sores all over his body. I'm so thankful now that he's feeling better, because after that experience, he understood the need to actually go the medical route, because you cannot treat a medical condition with spiritual measures. That is counterproductive and very dangerous. So that misconception of have you tried this? It's not an experiment. There's already like a prescribed method, even though lupus is different for different people. Rheumatologists have it under control. They will prescribe things for you to do. There are tests to check your disease activity. That is enough. Just take your medications, and and that lifestyle change is enough to get you on a, even if your health is not 10 over 10, but at least you can live a healthy life. But now going that route of thinking a spiritual attack, neglecting your medications, or looking for solutions where none exist, that's dangerous. And I really have to say this: every lupus patient should avoid anybody telling them, have you tried this? Don't let them experiment with your life. This is not a miracle that somebody will just snap their fingers and you are healed. You have to take your medications. It is not a spiritual attack, it is lupus, and it's a medical condition that should be treated as such. When it comes to lupus, well, for many of us, it might not physically show on your face, right? But then there's really no way that you'll be falling sick so often that people around you will not notice. So that stigma comes from the fact that people tend to see you as the person that is always sick, almost like a sickler. So amongst your friends, the things that they would even expect from you will be different. Soon you realize that you become more secluded, because nobody is inviting you to hang out with you anymore. Nobody is inviting you for events because they don't want that bad vibe, or somebody that will come and fall sick in the middle of a party. That stigma comes from there. And there's also the physical stigma, especially when you start to exhibit some symptoms that on the skin. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I had rashes all over my skin. I had rashes that were breaking out in sores on my chest, on my thighs, and stuff like that. And in cases like that, right, even me, I could not go out, because I saw the way even people around were looking at me. Because when things appear on your skin, people don't want to come close to you, except loved ones, right? Because they don't want to contract what you've gotten, especially in a country like our own that is spiritual. Everybody feels like, don't let me touch them, or let them not transfer whatever it is that they have. Some people, and they don't even understand lupus enough to know that you cannot physically contract it from somebody else. And the stigma also comes from the fact that when those symptoms start to appear on your body, for example, right, you become seen as a liability, and even the loved ones that are there to take care of you, right, it feels as though people start to look at them and be like, oh, they are going through a lot for even sticking with you, because what it means is that they are dedicating their lives to being caregivers for you. And that stigma is from the fact that this person, are you sure you are making the right decision by marrying them? Even a lot of lupus patients have lost, or their lovers have left them after they were diagnosed. Many people cannot cope with the fact that they have to deal with somebody who is always sick, because if it's joint pains today, it's something else tomorrow. And then there are people who even have more serious complications like kidney problems. Some people even have bone problems, where their bones are like, they lose their bones. There are some that have heart problems. Some people even have brain issues. So all of these things, people will stigmatize, because you have now become that liability, or that consistently sick person that nobody wants to be associated with. Because even if they love you so much, some people would rather just interact with you from afar, because they don't want to bring you close. So a lot of people will say, you will not find husband though, because who wants to marry somebody that will be cheating for the rest of his life? Because it even feels like they'll be the ones that will be caring for you, and that relationship might not feel 50-50 to them, because they'll be like, what's in it for me anyways, if I love this person and but they are constantly sick, what is in it for me? So when it comes to lupus, people lose their loved ones, people lose friends, because not every friend wants to be around a continuously sick person. Even the ones that even understand, right, it's draining on them, because every day is one thing with you, every day is another thing with you, and it takes somebody with a lot of maturity to understand that. That's why it's hard for people with lupus to find partners to settle down, because not everybody wants to marry somebody with a disease. And then there are also some things that might cause reproductive issues as well. So when you get a partner and you're explaining that aspect to them, that oh, it's not as if I cannot bear children, it's just that oh, maybe I might have issues doing it, right? Some people do not want to hear that, and that stigma also comes from the fact that what, I'm not going to marry somebody who cannot have a child. So there's something, or if there's a possibility that this person cannot have a child. And then as a partner to a lupus patient, there are also things that you need to learn about them, kind of expectations that you should have from them. And a lot of people are not ready for that responsibility. So they don't even, once they hear that you have lupus, they step aside. Even if there are people that are supportive, even their own friends and family pressure them and continually put that doubt in them that makes them feel like, oh, maybe I've made a bad decision by being with this person. So that stigma from relationship side of things, friendship side of things, even in the workplace, right? A lot of lupus patients are not able to get jobs because employers are constantly saying, I want to make money and I want an employee that will be there every day to come to work and give their best. But as a lupus patient, you are continuously taking sick days, you are taking days off for your appointments, you are not always available, or you can be available today and not be available tomorrow. You'll be stigmatized at work. People look at you as that colleague that is not giving their best. So you might even be saying no to no promotions for you, no salary increase, because you are not even there 30 days of the month, to come to work. So some people, once they hear that you have lupus at the interview stage, they will not proceed with you. So that's one of the things that makes it harder for lupus patients to come out and say, oh, I have lupus. Because all of these things, they look at the pros and the cons and they cannot even deal with it, because it burdens you emotionally knowing that even if I'm open about my disease, how will people perceive it at work, relationship, friendship, even my employers? So people rather say, well, don't let anybody know that I have this disease. Because in this Lagos, and people have bad mouths too. They see you and they're like, what's doing this one? Things that are sensitive to you, somebody can just look at you and trivialize it and make you feel like you are nothing. All of these things even contribute to the emotional breakdown that lupus patients have. And those things also contribute to you having flares. And once you give up on yourself mentally, there's really nothing that your body can do. Because it's from that emotional feeling that impacts how your soul, your body, and even motivation to live. That's when you see some people, they just give up on taking their meds. They don't care about staying alive anymore. Anything that wants to happen should happen. And that has caused a lot of death in the lupus community. Yes, there are actually a lot of lupus patients that are really creating groups, safe spaces, and support communities for us. I remember when I was first diagnosed, I joined Laba Foundation. That is being it was created by a lupus patient. She's elderly, she has had lupus for over 30 years, right? I also joined another one, the Lureg Foundation as well. So what we do is we have like a group chat where people share things, we support one another, we share experiences. If we are going through anything, we can drop a message. We also organize events where we create awareness for lupus. There's also the fact that there are times when medications become overly expensive. So these support groups, they speak to other pharmacists or around Nigeria, right, to help us bring those medications to Lagos, at cheaper prices. So even people that cannot afford their medications, we crowd source for them. So we have a really good support system, especially in Lagos, compared to other states. Even there are so many lupus patients from other states that come into Lagos to see rheumatologists, for example, because we have like the best rheumatologists in Nigeria. If I can say that confidently. So the support groups are really helpful. I can only remember two right now, but there are others that I've heard about. But Lureg Foundation and Laba Foundation, they are Lagos-based support groups and communities for lupus patients in Nigeria. One experience that has really shaped how I've perceived living with lupus was an experience I had in 2019. I had a flare. My symptoms were flaring up and I was in the hospital. I was supposed to take injections for 3 days, so I was going and coming to take the injections. And while I was there, I would take the injections for a while, and there was somebody else next to me, like the bed next to me, and it was a 9-year-old boy. Yeah, he passed, may he so rest in peace. But at that time, he was sick as well, and he was in the hospital permanently. Me, I was still going and coming. So during that period, right, his mom would come while I was taking my injection. She'd be speaking to him and gisting with him. and he was really going through a lot at the time. He had heart issues, he had leg problems, and he also had issues with his lungs. I was a bit friendly with his mom, so she used to share some of the things with me. And during that time, when his mom would come around, I would hear him say things like, "Oh, what he wants to do next week when he leaves the hospital." And even though his mom knew that he wasn't really leaving the hospital soon, like the boy was always excited. He was always talking about the plans that he had the next day, the day after that. Almost like he had a lot to look forward to. And at the time, my own symptoms were not as serious as his own because it was basically bedridden, but I was still able to go and come back. So in that moment, it just made me think of the fact that there were so many things I was taking for granted. Because every time then, when I fall ill, I just become so discouraged. I just start thinking of, oh, I'm going to die soon. I just become so nonchalant about life. But just looking at how this boy, just 9 year old, was always optimistic, and he was so confident that he was going to still go back to school and do something, even planning football games or parties that he would have with his friends. He was even looking forward to his next birthday. But me, every time I had any flare, I would just suddenly give up and I would just be so sad, self pity, wallowing in self doubt, and all of that. And it just gave me that fresh perspective to the fact that your mind is literally everything. And if you condition yourself to think that there's no hope for you and you stop looking forward to exciting days or better days, you really might not get those better days. And even though it passed, I learned a valuable life lesson from that experience because it made me think of what I was doing wrong in my own life and how I was allowing self pity to hinder me or stop me from making future plans. I wasn't seeing myself beyond the present. I wasn't thinking of what will I be doing in the next 5 years. I wasn't thinking of aspirations, my dreams, my ambition. I was just so comfortable, or should I say, I had made up my mind or accepted the fact that I might not even live long. But being in that room with the boy and seeing what he was going through, the pain that he was in, and how he was still able to look forward to the next day, the next week, it has really shaped me, and I hold on to that lesson every day because now I know that your mind is like the tool that you can use to challenge yourself. Now, even when I'm sick, I'm having a flare, and I know I will be in the hospital for a long time, I continually remind myself that it's a temporary thing and I can still plan for the next day, plan for the next 10 years, and still look forward to the great things that I can still do in my life beyond having lupus. But that was a memorable experience for me. I think the first challenge would be in terms of money. Lupus is a very expensive disease, and we have a lot of medications that are very expensive. And there's really no way that you can manage this condition if there's no money to afford the treatments, the medications, the tests that you need. So a lot of lupus patients struggle with that. There was a time in 2020 where one of our medications, HCQ, was allegedly, prescribed as a medication that can help against COVID-19, and it became so expensive all around the world. It was not accessible. Pharmacists were ordering it because patients did not have access to it, and that was a really tough time because medications that we're buying for like 7K per pack was as high as 60K. That was a really, really high increase at the time. So imagine somebody that does not have enough financial capacity. In that moment, they'll stop taking that medication, or they start to rotate it. Or take one today, take one tomorrow, don't take in the next 2 days. And that's really detrimental to our health. Another one would be the shortage of rheumatologists. I don't think there's up to 200 rheumatologists in the whole of Nigeria. And even in Lagos, I don't think we have up to 100 rheumatologists in Lagos. That's why many lupus patients will use lutes and lasutes, because that's where a lot of rheumatologists are. And rheumatologists are the best doctors, or they are the doctors that can treat lupus. They understand the medical condition. So imagine having lupus patients that are up to, let's say, 100,000 in Lagos, for example, and we only have a few doctors to attend to them. So getting access to healthcare, for example, is like waiting on a queue. To see a doctor, sometimes you have to wait hours before it gets to your turn. And you know that the doctors are trying their best in Lagos, but there's really we don't have enough doctors to match the number of lupus patients that need health care. And that can be a really serious problem because it's the same doctors that will attend to people having emergencies, I'll take care of those that are doing routine medical checkups. I'll even do follow-up, appointments for other people. So imagine the kind of stress on that resource, the human capacity. There's also the fact that, when you look at some of the things that you need to lead a healthy life, for example, in terms of maybe work-life balance, all of these things are not available, especially in Lagos. Lagos is a fast-paced state. So you as a lupus patient, that your life is a bit slowed down, right? You might not be able to keep up with the pace. So the unique challenges would be in terms of, money, right? Having enough money to afford your medications. We have to take tests every month to be sure that, oh, your kidneys are working fine, your heart is fine, and those tests also run in hundreds of thousands. Not every lupus patient can afford it. And even though we crowd fund once in a while, but what can we possibly do? And it's a really serious issue because people don't even understand this disease to start with. So how do we even get help when people don't know about this disease? And there are people who have lupus nephritis, that's a complication of lupus where the immune system is attacking the kidneys, and people who have kidney failures, they have to do like weekly dialysis. People like that, they spend hundreds of thousands like in a day. So people like that are not able to access healthcare because of money, and many of them are still on waiting lists, waiting for donors for kidneys, or even waiting for money to be able to perform the surgeries. So money is a seriously big factor, and the fact that even sometimes many of our medications are not readily available. They are imported from abroad, and when they are brought into Nigeria, they are also very expensive. That's why we are grateful for support systems or support communities that help us, speak to pharmacists across Nigeria that they can bring those medications to Lagos. And thankfully, Lagos has a higher number of rheumatologists as well. And even though the workload can be a lot on them, right, it can also be stressful for us lupus patients having to wait hours before you see your doctor. So in most cases, for example, personally, when I have appointment, I wake up as early as 5:30 so I can get there by like 6, and so that I can get to my doctor by 8. Because by the time you get there, you can even meet 100 patients before you, and you're like number 120 something, and you are sick, you're on a queue waiting, right? Even the waiting period is tiring enough. But we know that it's not the fault of the doctors, it's the fact that there are more patients to doctors and the ratio is not balanced. So those are like really unique challenges that we face every day as lupus patients in Lagos. I think one thing that I usually pray for every day, and I add it to my prayer point, is that many more doctors should train to be rheumatologists. Like I said, there is a really limited number of rheumatologists in Lagos. If we can have a higher number, I believe that we've actually, ticked one of the boxes, right, in making sure that lupus patients have access to healthcare. Another thing would be that we are hoping that one day there's maybe like a fund for lupus patients who do not really have enough money to be able to access, should I say, money to buy medications or even free medications at best. The lupus community in Lagos, we're always crowdfunding for people, but there's really not so much that we can do. So we hope that maybe there can even be something within hospitals where you even get discounts in treatment, all the tests that we do. There are some test centers in Lagos actually that have been really helpful, and I need to point that out because some of our doctors have relationships with some labs where when you go there and your prescription for some tests is from a doctor from Lutz or Lasut in Lagos, for example, they will give you like some discount of your test. So if we have more things like that, that would be really great. And also the fact that, if we can get donations, within the healthcare system, people who are willing to donate to lupus patients that are trying to get kidney transplant, or even try to, just get through everyday life, that would be really amazing. So yes, if the number of rheumatologists in Lagos can significantly improve and increase so that more lupus patients have more access to doctors, and we don't have to be on long queues before we can, be attended to. A fund where lupus patients can get support for medication and tests, and even labs, offering discounts, offering a sort of, should I say, percentage off when you want to get some tests done. That would be really helpful because money is a big issue. and also getting doctors that can specifically cater to your needs, the ratio of doctor to patient is low as well. So my advice to a newly diagnosed lupus patient is, one thing I can say confidently everywhere is that the medications work. I mean, look at me, I'm a proof of that. So please do not joke with your medications. They can be a lot. Side effects can be really annoying, and the fact that you have to swallow medications every day, I've been doing it for 8 years now, every day, can be really, really depressing. But I need you to know that it works. And then making lifestyle changes, believing that you need to forget the fact that, oh, you used to be able to do some things. Now you know that for you to survive, you have to let some things go. I usually tell people that I've let a lot of things go personally, like alcohol. I don't drink, I don't party out late. All of these things, you need to start putting yourself first. Remember that you are the only one that can actually improve your own health through the kind of changes you make to your lifestyle. And I will also say that, please, lupus is not a death sentence. It is a very manageable condition. I've known lupus patients who have had it for over 40 years. I even know one of our lupus aunties, she's going to be celebrating her 70th birthday soon. She has lived a really great life. She has gone on to become a professor and even a doctor in the United States. Right, she's doing really well, and personally, I'm also doing well in my chosen field. So please do not believe that lupus is going to hinder you from achieving your goals. Lupus is not a death sentence. It can be tough, but keep reminding yourself that this has happened to you for a reason. I usually tell people that it's actually a bragging right that of all the things to happen to you in this world, it is only your body that can actually attack you. We have a condition where your immune system is attacking itself, attacking your body because it became too strong. Where other people are boosting their own immune system, we are suppressing our own. I consider that, and I tell myself that that is a superpower, because it means that we are even so strong that our body cannot control the strength. So I would say that tap into that strength, make it so strong that your mind is conditioned to believe that it is you against the world and nobody can stop you except you, because this disease that you have, it is something caused by your body, right? So use that as an opportunity to challenge anything getting in your way and telling yourself that it is me against me. So nothing is going to stop you from achieving your dreams. Nothing is going to hold you back. You are going to thrive. You are going to live a successful life in your chosen career. You are going to get to the heights of it. When I say lifestyle changes, it might mean that you might limit the things that you usually do, but don't consider that as a weakness. See it as a strength and a call for you to even take your body even more seriously. Because now that you know the things that can cause, flares and hold you back, now you know how to handle them. And by lifestyle changes, it means that all the things that can hold you down and make you even break down, you stay away from them. Your medications should be your number one thing. Always have your medications around. Don't ever get tired of them. Listen to your doctors, communicate with your doctors, and do not listen to all the people saying, have you tried this, have you tried that? Your life is not an experiment. Take your medications without fail and you would see improvement. And also believe, have that positive mindset that you can still achieve anything that you want to achieve. Remember that lupus is a reminder that it is you against you always, and nothing can stop you if you believe that. If you're watching this video and this is the first time you're hearing about lupus, lupus is an autoimmune disease that causes the immune system to attack healthy organs instead of infections or viruses and other things that it has been created to do. So if you're watching this video and this is your first time hearing about lupus, I would like to say that we need more people to be educated about this medical condition. We need you to support, and the best way to do that is to create awareness and also to support people around you. Understand that lupus might not be visible on people's faces, but there are different challenges that people with lupus are going through every day. And the best thing we can offer is support, encouragement, and try not to stigmatize or make people feel like having lupus is something that makes them unworthy of love, unworthy of care or support. And if you are just finding about this disease, you can also do your research and share with somebody that you know. Share that knowledge. May is Lupus Awareness Month, and we're raising awareness about lupus so that we believe We're doing this because we believe that when there is more awareness, there will be more funding that will go into research that will help us find a cure. And so this awareness does not stop at only you. Share with your friends, share with family, people around you. Anybody might be diagnosed with lupus and they might just be hiding it because you don't know that they can get the support from people around them. So play your own part, create awareness. Do not look down on people with lupus. We do not want pity, we only want support and encouragement. And the best thing you can do for us is to help us share the word. Tell somebody that you know, and be sure to offer help if you know anybody that has lupus. Thank you.